Running to be the next governor of Iowa. I'm married to my wife Carol. Just yesterday was our 51st anniversary, so we've been married 51 years. We have 4 children and 13 grandchildren, and so somebody told me that if I didn't make it in time, Luana was going to speak for me. So, she's amazing. That probably would have been better, but we're happy that we made it. So, putting the foundations of freedom back in place in our state is absolutely essential. Our campaign slogan is to restore the foundations of freedom, and it's on our literature and what have you. That's not just a slogan that we came up with, when we ran for when we decided to run for office. That's been our heartbeat for over 4 decades. My wife and I moved to Iowa City in 1981. We started a church, and I've been a pastor there for 45 years. Besides doing some other work like home building and real estate development, and that sort of thing, pro-life work and county chair, as I mentioned, what have you. But we moved there in 1981, and we started reaching out to the University of Iowa students, and we saw the indoctrination that was taking place, a lot of socialism and Marxism, and we realized that our freedoms were being undermined, and so we've been involved at some level for over 4 decades trying to restore those foundations of freedom. That's absolutely essential, something that we have to do, to put those foundations back in place. There's a scripture, as I said, I'm a pastor, so I get to use the scripture, right? No, anybody should be using scripture, to be honest with you, but I think in Psalm 11:3 it says, if the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? It's a rhetorical question. It's not much. That's the answer. So we have to have our foundations in place. As a home builder, I know that if you don't have a good foundation, you can't build on that. You've got to put your foundation in place first, then you start building the house. And so, by the way, I'll just throw this in right now. We all know that we can't build our house on the sand, right? Rob sand, get it? So, but anyway, just want to throw that one in there. But we've been restoring those foundations of freedom, and we know, what the Declaration of Independence. We're approaching our 250th birthday. This is our 250th birthday coming up July 4th, and so that Declaration of Independence is the birth certificate of our nation. It is foundational to our nation. And the part that we all appreciate so much is this part, which says we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and they're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. And that among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And then the next line is the kicker. And that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. So folks, that's a foundational concept. When I ran for State House, I've also served in the state legislature. When I ran for State House, that was our campaign slogan back then. Rights come from God, not government. The purpose of government is to protect those rights. And that's a paraphrase of what we just read from the Declaration of Independence. Our rights come from God. Our government doesn't give us rights. Government's job is to protect the rights that God gives us. And so that's a foundational principle that we have to put back into our educational systems. And so reforming education is going to be absolutely essential. And I believe in making Iowa education #1 again, but it's not just about checking a box and saying we're #1. It's about putting the kind of information in people's minds so that they go out, they do the right thing, they become productive citizens that understand these principles, become self-governing people so that we don't need big government. And then what happens then? Then we will be #1 when we do that. Those are the principles that will make us #1. So, and I'm not going to be ashamed to say that, right? These principles are in our Declaration of Independence. They're in our Constitution. They're in the Iowa Constitution. The Iowa Constitution tells us that we owe gratitude to the Supreme Being for the blessings that we've hitherto enjoyed, and we feel dependence upon Him for future blessings. And whenever they tell us as Christians we're supposed to just be quiet and say nothing. How many minutes I got?
30 seconds.
30 seconds. And when they tell us we're supposed to be quiet, you think about it, all that is embracing atheism. And so folks, that's not what our country was built on. I've got a lot more I'd like to say, but I just appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to good, solid Iowans. And by the way, I met somebody over at the other one who was a refugee from Illinois. So we don't want to have people leaving Iowa and claim to be refugees from Iowa do it. So, all right, thank you very much, folks.
Big round of applause for gubernatorial candidates.